Hello, hello, and welcome again to the series of Pop the Kettle On. And today we have one of the most beautiful person in our group and has been one of our inaugural members of the spiritual co-op. We have Emily Kisvarda of Phoenix Gateway and Lab, which is Liquid Alchemy in a Bottle.
Hi,
Oh,
good
as well as
morning.
Seed of the Soul.
Yes, seat of the soul as well. But
So thank
travel
you.
is sort of on the back burner right now.
Right at the moment. Yeah, thank you so much for taking the time out. I know you've got a really, really busy schedule, but we really want to get to know you and get to know all about you. So, Emily, could you tell our viewers today a little bit about yourself and how you got to where you are right now?
Absolutely. So I am Emily, and yes, owner of Phoenix Gateway and a side business, Seat of the Soul, and I create the most amazing high vibrational frequencies, which are bottled, as you can see there. And where my story started. So, 16 and a half years ago, I lost my husband to cancer. And at the time, I think I was about 32 from memory now. God, now I'm thinking 32, and I had 4 young children, all under 10. And my whole life was pretty much turned upside down. And I guess I went through the stages of depression, the overwhelm, the grief, the turmoil, all of it was overwhelming at the time. But what I didn't realize then, which you start to know as time goes on, was the gift. And I say, for every crisis there is a gift. And my husband left me the most profound gift, and that was to assist me in shifting in consciousness. And I awoke, and I haven't looked back since. It was a blessing. He showed me strength. He opened me up to a world that I didn't even know existed. And I always called myself the diamond and gold girl. Like, I was in my box. Anything that was shimmery and sparkly, that's what I liked. And I was at the time a stay-at-home mum as well. My background is actually in nursing. I was a Division 1 nurse, a registered nurse. So, and I actually stopped training after my 3rd child was born. So that is where my background lies. And here I am today, 16 and a half years later, with amazing tools under my belt, and an avid lover and teacher of sacred geometry, and all things energy. And I'm forever learning.
And the author of the most amazing cards.
Yes, I'm going to lift them up because I can. So you have the 1st edition, the 2nd edition, and they're both, there's the 1st edition, there's still minimum left that are circulating, and then there's this one. So very exciting.
Yeah. Have you always been spiritual, or the spirituality really came about after your late husband's death?
Yeah, it was actually introduced. I had absolutely no idea. And, as I said, 32, I'd never had a reading, didn't know anything about tarot cards, didn't know anything esoteric whatsoever. But when my husband was sick, apart from doing mainstream, he started doing alternative and complementary therapies. So, alternative to the fact of, he would work with Chinese medicine and iridology, and then he complemented it with Reiki at the time. And I remember saying to him, because something's so new to me, and I started questioning him on, what is Reiki? What did you do? Well, you were having these sessions. How did it feel? Like, it really got my interest up. And where we lived at the time, I was very, very close friends with my neighbour. And she was actually, she also helped me, as time went on. But yeah, she was very much into crystals. And when my husband passed away, oh no, sorry, before my husband passed away, she gave him a pouch with crystals in it. And, it wasn't until later that I really understood, but we even buried him with those crystals as well. So, and I remember one of them being tiger's eye. So, yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
Wow. It's really interesting, isn't it? That a lot of these things, a lot of these spiritual practices are so non-existent to a
mm,
certain point. And then when things happen, when, whether it's tragedy or trauma, it brings about this amazing awakening process. And
absolutely.
and for you, as much as it was a rude shock, I think in many ways you found yourself in it as well, not just
Yeah,
as, the wife, the mother, the nurse.
yeah,
And yeah, and I can see, even in the last few years that we've known each other, how things have really, really grown for you.
yeah.
Yeah. So
Evolve.
what did you start on first? Was it crystals or was it the Reiki or?
Okay, crystals. So prior to the tools that we've already spoken of, my business was actually based around crystals. I was quite a big crystal seller, in particular on Facebook, because back in the day, it was before these stupid algorithms came into play, and it was such an awesome platform to sell from. And so I was very big into crystals. So what I found was, uh, can I share a couple little stories with you?
Of course.
Yeah. So this is my awakening, and the day, the day of my husband died very early in the morning, and I remember we were sitting outside on the deck, and that later that night, and I remember sitting there going, can feel raindrops on my head. Like, what the hell is going on? Now, you got to understand, I never had anything done. I knew nothing about spirituality, nothing about tapping into spirit, no, nothing at all. And I'm thinking, oh my God, it's raining, and here I am under on my deck undercover, and I'm going, this is really weird. Well, time started going on, and I started finding myself sleeping, with my light on and my TV on in the bedroom, because it was like someone started tugging at my blankets, at my doona. And I was freaking out, going, there is something going on, there's something going on. Then 3 weeks later, after he died, because I'll never forget, I'm standing there in my kitchen, and it was like I walked into this massive spider web, and I'm going like this, trying to get it off, but it kept brushing on my face. It was like this spider web, and then brushing. I'm going, what is going on? Like, I really didn't understand. So it was like, this awakening came, and it was like bang, 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 bang. And then what started happening was, excuse me, I'd go shopping, and I'd be walking around the streets. And around where we lived at the time, there was a couple of new age shops and crystal sellers. And what would be happening was, I'd be walking past these shops, and it would be like, seriously, somebody standing there grabbing me and pulling me in to the shop. And I'm going, like, I was freaking out, but not freaking out. I think I was starting to get used to it. And I had no idea, but what it it was like there was just this energy guiding me to a crystal, until I stopped straight in front of it. And because I was already starting to feel it in my head, I didn't know what I was doing, but it was like somebody would grab my head and go like this, and go, like, oh, there's a crystal. That's the one you need to buy. That's how it started. And I'd buy crystal and buy a crystal, and it got more and more and more. And yeah, so I ended up at that point. That's when I thought, right, I need to get some help and really understand what I'm feeling, because as a child, like growing up, my parents were not by any means, spiritual or believers in anything that was esoteric. So it was never, we
Were they
never spoke
religious?
about it. Pardon?
Were they religious? Were your parents religious?
Oh, look, my background, I come from a Jewish background. We're not religious whatsoever. I personally don't follow that faith now, but my mum probably was more, it was just keeping in tradition of, it was more about gathering together as a family. But it wasn't until I actually had my children that, and well, I was already, no, sorry. It wasn't until I had my children that my mum then opened up, and like I actually didn't realize how open she was to the fairy, to spirit in terms of the fae, the fairy realm. Like she would always go on fairy hunts with my eldest daughter, and because my eldest daughter is extremely psychic, actually a couple of my children are really quite that way, but my mum always embraced it. And it wasn't until my husband died that I realized even more so. So that's how it started. And then, yeah, a year after my husband died, I did Reiki. And I was already doing, like I'd already done a crystal course, and then I went and did Reiki. And so, yeah, I just started following what felt right for me, and became a crystal seller. I just started purchasing. It usually was one for the kitty and one for me.
Yep.
You know that.
I know that. Oh, yeah.
You got your collection. Yeah.
Did you ever find out who was the witch spirit, or who it was that was really guiding to you to all those shops?
Yeah. Look, what I found out, I knew how close my husband was, and I had the most amazing experience with him as well. About 3 weeks after he died as well. But so I know it was him with the tugging and everything else. What I found out, I actually went and had a reading done, my very first reading, and she was phenomenal. Like she helped really open me up to understand. And what I came to, or what they started showing me, the 3 main guides that I work with. And yeah, that's how it came about. So I had one of my guides is actually a crystal guide. And her name was Crystal. I then had 2 others, which was an American shaman, a Native American shaman. And I also have one, his name is Zeke, and he's otherworldly.
Amazing.
So, yeah.
So tell me a little bit about what spirituality means to you.
Spirituality for me is being able to embrace the all. And spirituality is, I don't know if it makes sense today. It's all encompassing. It is about not one specific thing. It is about it's about a depth of it's about, how do I explain what I think?
This is a really interesting question. I love to put it out because
you ask all your, I forgot about this question. I never even thought about it. I think, spirituality, when just even think about it, gives me a sense of calmness. It is peaceful. It's a sense of peace, because I think what spirituality is, it's about being able to transcend the ego. This is my interpretation. So as you asked, it's about transcending the ego. It's nearly about being able to be at a higher frequency. It's like elevating and looking down, but also looking up. It's about being able to see a bigger picture. And it is an understanding that there is a lot of magic that surrounds us, and that spirituality is also a thought and a feeling and a knowing. And to me, like, I just feel this overwhelm of love.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what it also is many years of practice, many years of, you know, when I say practice, but it's the learning
Mm-hmm.
of greater wisdom, and, you know, learning from our mistakes, and learning from everything that we do. Like, yeah,
Yeah, and as you're saying that, and as you've been talking about that, all I can think of is you're really rising to the occasion. You're rising up, you know,
yeah,
to have that periphery. And it's so interesting because, I mean, that is your logo that is behind you. The
yeah.
phoenix,
The
you know,
phoenix,
it's all
right?
about rising up and
Yeah,
getting a periphery vision and understanding and being encompassing, you know. And this is what I love about your work, is that you have such a beautiful depth of knowledge that you
thank
put into
you.
your work. You know, your cards especially, there is so much that go into your cards that most people will never know unless they speak to you or have worked with you or done one of your workshops. They're just layers and layers and layers of research that goes into sacred geometry, that goes into, you know, esoteric studies and work, and, you know, all these little bits and pieces that go into it. How did that come about? I mean, how did your cards come about? Because
Yeah. Okay, so my cards, I started with crystals, and probably, so my husband died in 2004. Probably by around 2006, just to give a timeline to make it easier, I started dabbling with creating what I would call an essence. At that point, it was probably more true to say essence than elixir, because it was the essence of one crystal that I was putting in. And that's how I started on this, you know, the crystals, and then I started dabbling. But as time went by, I needed to learn more, which is where I started to
Mhm.
do a few courses as well, to understand that actually what I was doing and intuiting was, you know, correct. Then probably by about, so I did a lot of introspection. I did a lot of courses, and I have, anyone who knows me, as you said, I'm a researcher, and I will spend hours. As soon as something comes into my head,
Mhm.
I will spend hours. And that's what happened with these, excuse me, the templates as well. So probably about 2010, I think it was 9 or 10, I had created my first elixir, which actually is Starlight.
My
And
favorite.
yeah, and yeah, that one is made with moldavite, so it's quite a stunning elixir. And of course, a couple of them have been based on my children as well, which is how they came about. So that one I did for my youngest son, Josh, who had underlying ADHD. So it went from there, created, and then what had happened was so when I used to create my own elixirs, I like to call it cutting and pasting, like kindergarten. I would cut and paste a grid or a template that I felt needed to go with whatever I was creating at the time. Yeah, hard to see, isn't it? Yeah, there's one.
There you
Oh,
go. I don't.
actually,
Yeah,
no, that's not. But yeah, there you go. There's the Phoenix.
that's
Okay,
right.
that's one
That's
of my templates, the master templates. Um, Here's another one. Yeah. But so I would then, you know, take what I felt was needed to create. When I got to creating spider medicine, it was the one it was at that time I've gone, you know what, I no longer can create these templates, because what was starting to happen was I was channeling these geometries, which I didn't really know what they were at the
mm,
time, but I was channeling these geometries, but I didn't know how to cut and paste per se, because what I was starting to see was a geometry within a geometry. And it was at that time where I was talking to my web designer, who from a couple of websites ago, and he put me on to an amazing guy, and I need to give him a mention. His name is Ken Farag, and he has been my graphic artist for basically close to 10 years, and he's amazing. He's helped me bring all my artwork to life into graphic form. Anyway, I got a hold of him and I said, right, this is what I see. Can you create a graphic from it? And that's how it started. So from that, this is actually it. It's Dreamweaver. And actually how apt, because what is Dreamweaver? It's all about manifesting. Whereas I think about it as I'm talking now, but it's quite profound when you look at it that way. Dreamweaver is what we manifest, but from this, because a bit harder to see, but if you can see within it, you'll see Metatron's cube within. That's what makes up the web. And when I saw that, I've gone, oh my God, I think he can just go and create another template for me. Let's now create this one. So from spider medicine came the Merkaba, and then over probably a period of, because they didn't all come at once, maybe 6 years, I created 12. And it was in 2016 when I first met you, I think, at a Festival of Dreams.
Festival of Dreams, yes.
And it was actually, Scott Alexander King who said to me, now, you have amazing products. How about you put it together as a card deck? And I remember leading up to that day, I never thought I could create and produce a full deck of cards, because it was an overwhelm, because I knew how long it had taken me just to do the cards that I had then, and I didn't have 12 at that point in time. And within 3 days, I created a full deck of cards, because it was like he gave me the permission to go and do it. And that's how it came about that quickly. So, yeah.
Amazing, isn't it? That, from the years of foundational work, all of a sudden, when the time is right, it all flows, and it all flows beautifully. And I think this is what a lot of people in our industry need to realize, that a lot of what we do is really hard work. We're soul practitioners. We channel, we bring the inspiration in, then we have to create every single piece that comes together.
Absolutely.
And one thing about you is, we're very similar like that. There is a tenacity. And we don't give up, because we truly believe in our work, and we truly believe that we need to share this out there. And and in the last few years of knowing you, I've seen you do it. You've fought against every odds to put yourself out there and make Phoenix Gateway and your sacred geometry cards come to life and really pop. And and this is why I love it, because I love working with people who are passionate about their products, and they truly believe in every little bit about it. And that makes the difference, because that is true living in your authenticity, and really trusting in that self-acceptance of who you are.
And it's taught me so much, the lessons that have come through this, and I have, as I say it, immense gratitude for what I am learning, for what I have created, for what I have become and am becoming. And I won't give up. I mean, you know me very well. So I won't give up, because I believe in what I do, and I believe in my product. And it's like everything is just starting to, everything is just starting to come together so perfectly. And the years, and I'm talking 10 years, 11 years of creating the start. Like I now have, and it's just finalized this week, are my elixirs. And I'm proud. I'm just going to show you the box, putting the box together, and Ken's helped me every step of the way to make sure. And we've even supported, I need to put this out there, Australian business. Everything has been created here. So, I'm proud to say that as well. And what do you get? You get an amazing box full of high vibrational elixirs, okay? And it's energy medicine. It's medicine, and I do call it medicine because we're working with it as a complementary therapy, and it is all frequency. It's just beautiful. So we can work on it on nurturing, balancing, and healing the mind, body, and soul. And that's what they're there for. And they complement any other therapy you do. Therapists can use them. These are sold as a dosage bottle, but I can sell them as stock bottles for practitioners, or even anyone willing to give it a go to do it yourself. Because if you can look up on the internet how to put a bicycle together, or or fix a bicycle, or put a bookshelf together, you can put together a stock elixir. And they're easy, simple, and I have everything already available for you. I have this awesome book that I've put a lot of work into as well. And it explains more about vibrational medicine and why water is so pertinent and how it stores memory. And then on top of that, because I couldn't help myself, because I'm a creator, I then took the 9 solfeggio frequencies in my deck, and I've made them business card size, but I've gone a little bit further. I've put the numerology, the frequency of each one on the top of the card. Like, for example, the 9 here. Mm-hmm. You'll see it's got a little frequency at the back, and these are perfect size. And on top of that, it's got a little booklet that goes with it that explains the solfeggio frequencies, why and how to use them, as well as, why you would ingest one over the other if you're drawing a card. So like before, we drew the 528 for you, which is perfect, because look at what you're creating. Look at what you're doing. These are miracles. This is such and it's yellow. So we're talking that bright, we're talking solar plexus. We're talking you are taking action and you are making your dreams, the dreams are coming true for you. It's all happening.
That's right. That's right. And so we're very lucky to be able to stock Emily's cards as well as the essences at the Spiritual Co-op.
It's all coming to you.
Yeah, so look, come and you get to feel and touch and smell and, and feel the energy behind it, because this is something that I'm really passionate about as well, because I personally use Emily's essences and cards in my reading. They're one of my favorite decks. So come along and really find out a little bit more. And once we get past this COVID, I'm sure Emily will be down to teach some workshops with us. We can't wait to have her, because it's been far too long since we've seen each other.
I know. There's been no markets to be going to, or festivals.
Yeah. Now, can you tell me a little bit about how your business has evolved over the last few years? Because we've seen you grow. We've seen your products really establish itself. We're seeing you come up from behind the light. And, this is what we're trying to do with the Spiritual Co-op is, we know that all of our beautiful members and tribees have beautiful products, but we never hear their stories behind each of these products. How did you really come out with Lab?
That came about in 2018, the end of 2018, I think it was. And all of a sudden, it was like I just channeled it, and I got Liquid Alchemy in a Bottle. And I'm like, Lab, oh, that works well. And that's where it started. So it was just something that came to me, because prior to that, they didn't have a name. It was just branded under Phoenix Gateway, which
Gateway.
that, of course, is a tool or a product of Phoenix Gateway. And yeah, but so really, like, most people wouldn't know, but when I first started out, you know, way in the beginning, my business name was Universal Vibrations of Love and Light. Like, how woo-woo is that? And so, like, yeah, whatever. It's so not me. It's so not me. It's amazing how we change. And it was a gorgeous lady by the name of Miss Margs. Let's call her Miss Margs. She did some coaching with me, and it was 2010, I think it was 2011, 2010. Anyway, she said, well, I think it's time to change the name of your business. You know, maybe you need to do a few things. And that's where all of a sudden Phoenix Gateway came to me. And the Phoenix is a representation of me. The Phoenix is the Phoenix represents a cycle of birth, death, and rebirth. And each time we all go through death, not on yes, physically, but I'm talking on
a spiritual level
on
as
a
well.
spiritual level that, you know, we are up leveling, we are evolving. And as we evolve, it's like a snake shedding its skin, you know. It's about, as we evolve, we shed, we upgrade, we transform. And so, and the Phoenix, you know, having my husband died, to me, it was like that massive, a major part of me died when he died. And it was, I then had to transform because it was really the only way to survive. And, you know, in life, it is all about inevitable change. It's really what the Phoenix card represents too in my deck, wherever it might be. And so, yeah, that's where the Phoenix came from. Why the gateway? Because when we look at the different chakra points, for example, you know, our furthest is the what was I going to say? The furthest is the Earth Gateway. So when we are coming back from from death to rebirth, we actually are coming from the depths of you know, of the earth. We're coming back through Earth's gateway. So that's where the gateway came through. It's about opening up and rising through. And then last year, so what I did was I rebranded. No, this year, apologies. Earlier this year, like this year, I tell you, the stuff that I've done is huge. But I've rebranded Phoenix Gateway. I've rebranded the Phoenix. So what you will see is that the picture on, say, Lab, the Liquid Alchemy, is the original Phoenix. Yeah, that one. And we rebranded the Phoenix because for the fact that the Phoenix has evolved. So as I evolve, so does my business. And you know, like the spiritual co-op, you know, in terms of the name change, like still the same name, but the way, like, to me, that's more mature. You know, it's very clear. It's like the clarity is now there, even though I did like the other one too. But, you know, that clarity of this is exactly who you are. This is the spiritual co-op, which is bloody awesome, I may say. So that's where the Phoenix came from. Seed of the soul is about the seed of eternal existence. The seed is, to me, this pinpoints back to Egypt for me, and it was something that was channeled prior to going to Egypt back in 2018, and it became my 12th template, which was created before I even went. So they already were showing me what I needed to understand and what I needed to learn. And the write-up for it is quite intense. So it's something that is back going into my e-course, and I think I've got a write-up on it anyway on my website. But it just, everything comes together. And then what I decided after 2018 is I really wanted to take groups to sacred sites. That's what I'd really felt passionate about. And it's interesting because even though it's still something I want to do, And my aim at the time, I saw myself going to three main sites, being
Mm-hmm.
Peru, Bolivia, and Egypt. But with, the pandemic, it's put everything at a standstill. And if I had to choose a place, it would be Egypt, because that's where the roots are. And, that's where I'm finding a lot of what I channel comes from.
Mm. And one of the things that is really amazing, and especially for me, amazing, because I've actually been through this journey with you of creating. I've seen
Mm.
the processes of it popping up, and this is what we love about the co-op, is that
This
it's
has
such a
come through
great.
again. Just it just fell out
Oh,
again.
really?
We
Transformation
pulled it
again and miracles.
before.
Yeah. But
It's,
this is
yeah.
but
Sorry,
this is something
transformation
that
miracles.
we do, the
Yeah.
two of us.
Mm.
We create miracles, and we transform, and we make
Yeah.
things happen. And the beauty about working with people in the co-op like Emily is that we've got someone to bounce ideas off, because so
Yeah.
many of us work on our own, have no one to bounce ideas off, and we're in our heads all the time, and a lot of times physically alone as well.
Mm.
And to be able to do that, like when I developed It's Just Swell, my turmeric tea, that was done with Emily. We sat down there, we talked about it, and the same with the seed of the soul. Emily's like showing me stuff. I'm like, now
Yeah.
move things around and do things here,
Yeah.
and
That's
and
right.
and
Yep.
and it's these collaborations. I
Yeah.
always talk about Saint Germain and the Violet Triangle. When two people get together or more, there's this amazing actualization that happen, and things, the ideas spark and the juices flow. And it's important that we have these connections around us that can support us, because again, not all of us have families who are spiritual or who actually understand the path that we go on. And yeah, there is a feeling sometimes of, there can be a feeling of loneliness in this
Yeah.
journey.
Absolutely.
And it's important that even in this period of being alone, that there are people around you who have done this, who
Yeah.
have gone through all of this, and are able to support, and sometimes not do anything but just listen.
Mm.
And that's why I'm so grateful to have Emily around, because her
Thank you.
business is exemplary to a lot of people around, that who have thought about making elixirs, or who have thought of taking groups overseas, or who have thought of making their own cards, that it can be done.
Mm.
And all it takes is a little bit of will, a bit of tenacity, and lots of creativity, and opening up to universe.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. And when you follow your heart, it starts to flow. It just flows, and
Mm,
it opens you up to, greater knowledge, greater wisdom that
that's
is
right.
out there. And it becomes the depths in which you start to understand it as well.
Yeah.
Um, and sometimes I think that's where I've found it difficult for people to understand me or what I write, because I know I've got a niche market, what I do, because the understanding is not enough there. But, it's something I absolutely love, and I can lose myself in what I
Mm,
read. Um, and it's not to say I understand everything, because I don't. I really don't. But, it's given me, it's allowed me to be more open, and to give me more understanding. And which is why I love to create what I do, and to bring out what I do, and for people to read what I write. Even if it doesn't understand, it becomes a trigger. So I can activate you with something that I read, with something that I write. Sorry, excuse me, what I write, or what I say,
mhm.
or what I pull a card for you, or whatever it might be. You may not know it at the time, but you'll come back to it later. And that's what you find. Even with my elixirs, as healers, we're not here to heal you. We're here to assist you on your journey of self-discovery and self-healing. It's not for us to heal you. We're here to, that's our job, to heal ourselves. And when you're willing and open to starting that journey, We're here to help you activate on every level. It's no different to your teas.
Mm-hmm.
Your teas carry a specific synergy of energies, just like my elixirs do.
Mm-hmm.
And each one is specific for what it's going to do for on all levels of mind, body, and soul. So there is so much merit to what you and I do. It comes through in different ways, and they complement each other beautifully as
Mm-hmm.
well. So, you know, this is the thing. I think a lot of people are becoming, what I love about the co-op is people are starting to see what else is out there, you know, and frequencies will be the medicine of the future.
It is.
There's no doubt there. And solfeggio frequencies, everyone's talking solfeggio frequencies, you know. So the fact is they are a pure tone, and our bodies resonate to this. You know, my elixirs, these sounds, your teas create resonance. And we want to move away from the dissonance that has, you know, around us, from whether it's, you know, the mental blocks we have, the anxieties, even, you know, unwellness on a physical sense, and to what is going on around us. We can take a tea, we can take an elixir, and we can use it. For example, you're using protection at the moment. Why? Well, I know there's a lot going on in your life, but more so too, you know, this allows you to protect your energetics from what is going around.
That's
And as
exactly
an
right.
empath, you pick up on these energies greatly. I actually, on my YouTube channel, have even a little video to show you that it does work, because I bought a little machine to say, okay, here's just tap water and here's the elixir. So they all work. And it's, are you open and ready to try something new?
And you know, both Emily and I love to combine the elixirs with the teas
Yeah,
as well,
yeah,
because you know they
absolutely.
work complementary. And again, it's all about the water. You know, we are what, how many percent water? 70
We're over 60% water, 60 to 70% water, and water
water.
stores memory. It's all
Exactly right.
memory. So when we can start to change that cellular memory, we will start to change ourselves in terms of our mind, you know, in terms of health and well-being. It's a
Yeah.
holistic approach, you know.
Mm.
And it's all part of that complementary therapy. You look at the ocean and lakes. You know, Masaru Emoto was the first one to actually be able to freeze the water to show you the actual structure of water. So in a liquid form, it's tetrahedral, but in a frozen form, it's hexagonal. Okay. So when you freeze it, you'll start seeing these divine hexagonal shapes. But what you'll find is if you're in a place that is absolutely polluted, right, the actual shape that is frozen is, it's disastrous. Like you can see it's not well, it's not bright, like it's got no luster, and it doesn't hold a shape. You think of our own bodies when we are, you know, 60-70% water, and we're 100% geometry. So remember that geometry stores memory. Okay, so when you smoke too much, use drugs, drink too much, suffer with immense anxiety and stress, and don't look after yourself, can you imagine what our cells, that the water would look like within our own bodies? So this is why, and you know, this is why even working with solfeggio frequencies, it's about, we're putting that frequency into our cellular structure. So we're starting to change it to resonate to a purer tone, which is what we need.
Can you explain a little bit about the purer tone? Because you said this a few times right now. What makes it a purer tone?
So they're
Is it?
actually, the solfeggio frequencies are a group mainly of 6 tones. They can be looked at as, for some 9, which is what I use in the second edition, as well as creating the elixir. So I've also got them in a set of 9, which has got the book and everything as well. But when sung in harmony, they actually bring together spiritual blessings. They create a healing on all levels and create miracles, and actually start to change the structural the structure of the cells and the DNA within. So the music of today is actually off tone. So when I say the solfeggio frequencies are considered a pure tone, the music of today is actually off tone. So the music of today, when we look at it, is an A note being at 440 hertz, when it really should be strung at and begin at 432 hertz. There are certain musicians out there, for example, Coldplay. He actually starts his music at a 432 hertz, so he understands. So the music was actually deliberately put off tone to create, that imbalance. And another way you can look at it too, even listening to heavy metal like that, oh my God, can you imagine what that really does? I can only imagine what it does to my cells, because I can't stand listening to it. So yeah, so the music of today is actually off balance. It's not 100% balanced. So yeah, which is why these are so beautiful, but it goes into greater depth when we start looking at it, because it goes into the mathematics, it goes into the numerology and the frequencies of what each one. So it's like working with the chakras. We can work with a color, we can work with a particular tone. I work with them when I'm doing healing work. They work beautifully with your clients to actually listen to the tone. The music is accessible off the internet, no problem at all. You can purchase it as well. And what was the other thing I was going to say about them? Yeah. It's also, when you start looking at them, I mean, they're quite magical, and you start looking at the numbers in between each of the tones and see the number that you get from it. All the numbers compounded equal a 3, 6, or 9 as well. So if you only knew the magnificence of the 369, you'd have the key to the universe, and that's Nikola Tesla. So they're profound. We're not just talking a tone, you're talking the mathematics behind it.
Brilliant.
And what is that? Galileo Galilei says mathematics is the alphabet in which the universe is written.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll do another. We're going to do another interview on that, because that is something that people love to hear about and have so many questions about. So we'll have to do a separate interview on that.
I think we should do one on the solfeggio frequencies, because I think if you really understood them, you'd understand why I've brought them into my cards. Well, I've created the elixirs of them, and they work. It all complements everything you do.
So very quickly, how do you bring spirituality in your everyday life and work?
Okay. Just doing my work is enough for that to be brought in. And what the other thing is, because we are human, and I have 4 children, and even though they don't all live with me, but I have to still deal with the everyday with my kids, the mundane, everything that's going on around us. I breathe. Like, it's just being able to step back, go, like I'm not, I'd like to say I'm perfect, but I'm not. But I have I have what they call, I have my bastard moments, plenty of those, but it's just taking a step back. I always use my elixirs as soon as I need something. It's like, especially Blue Lotus is fabulous when you're feeling, under pressure and just needing to step back. But breath, just to breathe. And, sometimes I just need to take a moment to go think, create gratitude and think about the good things rather than the overwhelm, because we are human. It's there. It's spirituality, the things that I've learned over time and ways in which I can, the self-help has been great. Doesn't mean I always do it and always practice it, but yeah, it's just knowing. And I love doing my work. I mean, just to sit here and talk to you gives me pleasure. It's because I can tell you about what I create and what I do, and I love because I want others to know about it. And I get to sit with a like-minded soul who, brother from another mother, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I just feel so aligned in what I do. And that's what I love. When you can really know what you're doing is right and you align to it, that is kick-ass. And that is, how I bring it in and I go, yeah, yeah, yeah.
And that's the thing, isn't it? When you love what you do and you love your life,
yeah,
things come to fruition.
Oh, absolutely they do. And it all comes together.
It all
All
comes
comes
together.
together. Yeah.
So one last question.
Yeah.
What is your vision or mission to the world, or your
Oh,
message to the world?
it always changes, and I know this has been this has been something that I have spoken to you about so many times.
So
You've
many
even got
times.
stern with me and gone, But the top of my head, for me, it's to be able to introduce, there's a couple of things really. I would love to see within 10 years, every household and every business has a basic understanding of sacred geometry. Because why? It's the fundamental building blocks of our creation. It is in everything. And when we can, and which is why I've created what I do, because when you can understand the fundamentals of the universe, you can then take that and bring it into your everyday life and use it in your business, in your personal life, whatever it might be. It's also, the other aspect is to bring energy medicine out to the forefront, vibrational frequencies, to show that frequencies really are the medicine of the future.
Well,
so I know I'm not very good at that. Do it in 3 seconds, or 20 seconds, but that's okay. I'm not going to give myself a hard time. So but it all, it's all centered around energy, frequency, and vibration.
well, thank you so much for sharing your story and, being such an inspiration to a lot of people around
Thank
us right
you.
now. Thank you for being part of the Spiritual Co-op, and we love working with you and we love your work. We can't wait for all of the stuff to arrive so that we can start showing it off to the world as well.
Yes, I'll be sending it next week. No problem
Wonderful.
whatsoever.
So if you're looking for either Liquid Alchemy in a Bottle or Emily's Phoenix Gateway Sacred Geometry cards, you can do so on phoenixgateway.com.au. You'll also be able to find Emily on her Phoenix Gateway and Seed of the Soul pages on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube. Just Google her. She will pop out everywhere.
Yeah, I'm there. And I haven't probably set it up as well as I could have, but there is stuff up there. But for me as a reader as well, I want you to I think the best way to put it out there is I am more a soul reader. So when you come to me, I am going to read you, and I will be there to assist you and to show you, ways in which you can work on your journey of self-healing and self-discovery. So if you are interested, definitely look me up.
Yeah, and of course, Emily, together with the whole gang at Pop the Kettle On, will all be there on Tuesday nights doing lives.
Next week we're live?
Not sure yet. I'll let you
Okay.
know.
Oh, yeah, might not be. Okay, yep.
Yeah, we'll try for it. If we can, we will be on.
If I could fly up and help you, I would, but, stuck
know.
in Melbourne with curfews doesn't help.
No. But yes, so if you're looking for Emily, make sure you look through all her social media pages as well as her website. And her deck of cards, unbelievable. I read from it all the time, and you'll see me using it on lives on Facebook. So make sure you get a copy of that. And once Emily is free from her COVID cage, she'll be able to come
Yeah,
and start teaching again all around Australia.
I
So
think
thank you
so.
so much for being
I
here
love
today.
being here. I love you and love to everybody who is watching and will watch. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you very much. And from our heart to yours, take care of the people around you and take care of yourself. And we will see you very soon.
Bye.
Bye.